Hello, in this cool grad video we're going to talk about studying in New York University. New York University is a very prestigious university located in the heart of New York City, and most of its departments are ranked very high, and its medical school is also very popular. So we're going to talk about what it's like to study in each of the different grad schools of New York University, and the cost of living, and the different activities that New York University is famous for. First of all, location of New York. So if you look at the United States, I mean, this is the eastern part of the United States. This is New Jersey over here, and there's Connecticut over here. So New York is a big state actually, but this is New York City, and New York City is here, and Manhattan is one island over here. So Manhattan is over here. There's Brooklyn, there's Queens, there's all these interesting places which constitute New York City. So it's in the Eastern time zone. So it's in the eastern part of the United States. New York is bordered by, New York is a state, okay, and its initials are NY. And New York City is a city in New York State. So a lot of people seem to associate New York with New York City. But remember, New York is a big state, okay? And New York City is just one city of New York. So, now this is the state of New York, okay? A big state. And New York City is just this part over here. So, in New York State, we have Syracuse over here, Rochester over here. There's a famous university, Rochester Institute of Technology. Syracuse University is over here. And there's one Auburn here in New York, and there's one Auburn in Alabama. So there's a Buffalo over here where there is Niagara Falls, and so it's close to the Five Lakes over here. So there's a State University of New York in Buffalo. There's a State University of New York in Stony Brook, Long Island over here, and then there is Ithaca. There is Cornell University here, one of the Ivy League universities, and then there is Albany over here, and Troy, Binghamton. There's a State University of New York, Binghamton, and then there's in New York we have New York City, we have New York University, Columbia University, so many universities. So these are some of the top cities of New York State, okay? So New York State is bordered by Canada in the north, okay? So there's Lake Ontario, Lake Erie over here, and in the south we have Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and there's also the Atlantic Ocean over here, and then we have on the east we have the states of Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. So this is the entire New York State, but most people associate New York State with New York City, which is just over here. So from New Jersey to New York City, you would just cross the tunnel. It's very close by, and from New York City you can drive up to Connecticut in just about half an hour to 1 hour. So this is a map of New York State. So here we have New York City. There is Queens over here, and Manhattan is somewhere down here. So these are all the different counties. So Niagara is a county. The Niagara Falls are over here. So these are all the different counties of New York State. The weather in New York. New York weather can be pleasant in the summer, but very cold and snowy in the winters. So if you're going to New York, be prepared for the harsh winters. If you're going for the fall semester, you better go there and then buy the winter clothes that you need. So you have to buy like long warm coats and gloves and snow boots and lots of socks and mufflers and things to keep you warm, and a lot of lotion, moisturizer, because your skin will get dry and itchy. So affected by hurricanes such as Sandy in the past few years, there have been a lot of damage done by hurricanes. Heavily polluted, affected by fog and smog sometimes. It's like a concrete jungle pretty much, especially New York City, Manhattan. You'll see skyscrapers everywhere. Sometimes if you come from especially like a small town in India, you have a tendency to feel lost and lonely and suffer from all kinds of inferiority complexes and stuff. New York is like a mega version of Mumbai. So it's like in Mumbai, it's like, so many people everywhere. People are like dust particles. There's very little value for human life. But you'll see it's a very vibrant city. There's people from different parts of the world, and Times Square is like the most visited tourist destination of the world. All those Broadway shows and all the interesting things to watch, visit in New York. There's art galleries and museums and concerts, and there's Central Park, and there's sporting events, and there's a lot of Indian concerts, and there's a lot of shopping to do, and there's so much to do in New York. But then the weather, the winters can be really cold. Like when I first came to the US, I was to fly to Michigan for grad school. I came for the spring semester. So in December, I came through JFK Airport in New York, and nobody ever told me that I had to get off the plane in transit. So I had to disembark from the plane in JFK New York Airport and then switch to another plane. So I didn't have any gloves or anything. I just had some, pullover that wasn't warm enough. And luckily I had shoes on. I didn't have open toe slippers or anything. And I had a pullover, and then I didn't have any scarf or anything. I was no gloves or anything. And when we got off the plane, we had to go in the bus to another plane, and my God, my teeth were chattering and I was shivering, and I thought I was going to die in the cold. It was snowing. And so if you're flying to New York, if you're coming for the fall semester, it's okay. But if you're coming in winter, like November, December, you have to be prepared for the cold, even if you're coming straight away from India. So, and if you come here for fall, then you can buy the warm clothes over here. So you get good quality stuff at a cheaper price, and prepare yourself for the winter. New York quick facts. So New York City, there's more than 26,000 people living in each square mile. One of the most populous cities of the world. It takes 75,000 trees to print a Sunday edition of the New York Times. Madison Square Park, Washington Square Park, Union Square Park, and Bryant Park used to be cemeteries. It can cost over $289,000 for a 1-year hot dogs stand permit in Central Park. So in Central Park, that's like the lung space of New York. Big park with lakes in between, and a lot of greenery, and people go jogging and trails and all this stuff. It's a really nice place. But if you want to have a hot dog stand, you have to get a permit, and that can cost about $289,000 for a year annual permit. So even the hot dog vendors make a lot of money there. The city of New York will pay for a one-way plane ticket for any homeless person if they have a guaranteed place to stay. I'm sure they want to get rid of all the homeless people. New York is also infamous for a lot of crime, a lot of action, and a lot of interesting things happen there. It's very vibrant, but it's a place where you can easily get lost and lonely, and unless you have like good set of friends and family. So for someone who grew up in New York, they probably don't want to step out of New York. They think New York is the world. It's like in India you have Mumbai. People who grew up in Mumbai, they just love the city in spite of all the dirt and the filth and the slums and the ghettos and everything. They're just so much in love with the city, and they think it's the world. They probably don't want to live anywhere else. It's like, but if you come newly, it takes time to get acquainted to the vibrant, culture and the hustle bustle and the crowds and everything. And a lot of people love it there, and you won't get parking in New York. Even the CEOs and managing directors, everyone, they all go by public transport. And it's very well connected by metro and trains. And also airports. But then if you want it laid back and quiet and away from the skyscrapers and the hustle bustle of the city, then New York is not the place for you. Top cities in New York State. We have New York City, Buffalo, Rochester, Niagara Falls, Syracuse, Albany, Ithaca. These are some of the top cities. New York City. So the area is about 468 square miles. Population approximately 19.7 million as of the year 2016. New York City is one of the most populous cities in the US. Located in the southern tip of the state of New York, the city is the center of the New York metropolitan area, one of the most populous urban agglomerations in the world. A global power city, New York exerts a significant impact upon commerce, finance, media, art, fashion, research, technology, education, and entertainment. It's home to the headquarters of the United Nations. New York is an important center for international diplomacy and has been described as the cultural and financial capital of the world. So there's Wall Street, where all these investment bankers are located. There's all these international organizations, top universities, Broadway shows. It's very, very happening. So let's look at the airports in New York. So we have the most important one is John F. Kennedy International Airport, known as JFK. So if you're flying from India, there's a very good chance you'll probably fly to JFK. And there's also another airport called LaGuardia, which is also, it has some international flights, but it's definitely a smaller airport. But a lot of people within the US, if they can't fly to JFK, I mean, if they think it might be more convenient to fly to like LaGuardia, they often fly to LaGuardia. It's also a popular airport. And there's another one here called Teterboro Airport. So, top universities in New York. So we have New York University in New York City, and then we have Columbia University, also in New York City. Cornell University, one of the Ivy League universities in Ithaca. State University of New York, Buffalo, in Buffalo. State University of New York, Stony Brook. It's called SUNY Stony Brook, Long Island. Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, RPI, in Troy. Rochester Institute of Technology, Rochester. Syracuse University in Syracuse. Tier 2 universities in New York. So we have State University of New York, Binghamton. State University of New York, Albany. New York Institute of Technology in New York City. Clarkson University in Potsdam. Hofstra University in Hempstead. Pace University in New York City. Long Island University, Brooklyn. Long Island University in Post. St. Lawrence University, Canton. St. John's University, New York City. So we're going to talk about studying in New York University now. So this is the logo of New York University. It's got the torch and the flame. History of New York University, also known as NYU. New York University was founded in 1831, so it's at least about 170 years old. It's a private comprehensive institution located in a 250-acre campus. So it's not like a really big campus. I mean, considering that Stanford University campus is about 8,300 acres. So that's about 40 times as big as New York University. Even Duke University is about the same size as Stanford University, so they're about 40 times big. But my point is, it's got all the buildings like close together, but that doesn't make the university less prestigious, considering that real estate is so expensive in New York. Offering more than 2,500 courses, the undergraduate program aims to cultivate inquiry, creativity, and independent ambition in all students, and to challenge them intellectually, professionally, and personally. The main campus, located in Greenwich Village in Manhattan, has no walls or gates to maintain a connection to the surrounding city. It has a total undergraduate enrollment of 24,985, almost 25,000 undergrad kids, and about graduate students about 12,800 as of the year 2016. So let's look at the rankings of the various departments, graduate departments of NYU. So we have business school, MBA is ranked about like top 20 in the US. Remember that different websites provide different rankings. So US News has a different ranking from Princeton Review, different systems of ranking based on various criteria. So this is just an approximate idea of what the rank is like. And remember that the rank also keeps changing every year. And usually it doesn't fluctuate too much. It's not like one year it's like top 20 and the next year it's like top 60 or something. Usually they tend to stay somewhere in that range. So as of the year 2016, approximately these are the rankings. So the MBA program is ranked like top 20 in the US. MIS is less than 100. Computer science, top 54. Electrical engineering, 51. Mechanical engineering, 78. Chemical engineering, 67. Civil engineering, 62. Medical school, top 11. Law school, top 6. So med school and law school are really, really popular and very competitive to get into at New York University. New York University Stern School of Business. So this is the name of the business school, MBA, and it's ranked, it's actually ranked like top 20. I'm sorry, there's a mistake here. It's like one of the top 20 programs in the US. Very competitive and very prestigious, ranked top 20 for MBA in the US. Acceptance rate 18.1%. Average GMAT score about 720. Average undergraduate GPA 3.5. Program duration 21 months or approximately 2 years. Annual tuition about $63,000. Average starting salary for MBA graduates from NYU about $112,000 per annum. So the business program is really popular. It may not be like as competitive or prestigious as like Wharton or MIT or Harvard, but it is one of the top-notch business schools. And the job prospects are really good because all those investment bankers and top international organizations, they're all located right there in New York City. And they all come for campus recruitment and, to reference, they prefer like local students, right? So job prospects are really good. And if you graduate with an MBA with good grades from New York University, chances are you won't have to really look for a job. The jobs will come looking for you. So your job prospects will be really good. So this is the engineering department over here. And this is the computer science department. They do have, some greenery and flowers and plants and stuff. But it's kind of like a crowded small campus. It's not as big as Duke or Harvard, as Duke or Stanford University. So these are some statistics about NYU Computer Science Department, grad school. Ranked top 54 in the US, acceptance rate about 50.5%, GRE score average about 161, average UGPA 3.5, program duration for MS in Computer Science about 2 years, annual tuition about $41,600, average starting salary about $68,000. This is the Electrical Engineering Department building of New York University, ranked 51 in the US. So acceptance rate about 50.5%, average GRE score 161, average undergraduate GPA about 3.5. It's a 2-year program, Masters in Electrical Engineering. Annual tuition about $41,600, and average starting salary for Masters of Electrical Engineering graduates about $68,000 per annum. This is a picture of the Mechanical Engineering Department of NYU, and again it's the same acceptance rate, 50.5%, average GRE score about 161, and average undergraduate GPA 3.8. And the mechanical engineering is actually quite difficult to get into, and it's a 2-year program, Masters in Mechanical Engineering, and annual tuition is pretty much the same for all the engineering departments, about $41,600 per annum, and then average starting salary about $60,000. So this is the Chemical Engineering Department, and it's ranked like top 67 in the US, acceptance rate about 50.5%, average GRE score about 161, average undergraduate GPA about 3.5, program duration is about 2 years, annual tuition about $26,600, average starting salary about $56,000. And then we have the Civil Engineering Department. This is the Civil Engineering Department. So again, it's the same acceptance rate, 50.5%. It's ranked like 67 for civil engineering in the US. Average GRE score 161, average undergraduate GPA 3.5. It's a 2-year program, Masters in Civil Engineering. Annual tuition about $26,600, and average starting salary about $55,000. This is the NYU Medical School. So it's kind of crowded, but it's really, really prestigious. And it's a very vibrant place to study in. Ranked top 11 for MD program in the US. Acceptance rate about 5.5%. So out of every 100 applicants, only about 5 of them get picked. It's very, very competitive and also very hectic. Average MCAT score. So MCAT is Medical College Admission Test. Average MCAT score is about 36. That's a very high score. Average undergraduate GPA 3.87 on a scale of 4. Program duration about 4 years for an MD. Annual tuition about $49,600. Average starting salary about $126,000 if you graduate with an MD. And most doctors, they go on to do residency and then fellowship. For doctors, it's a long path, But after MD, you can still get a job at around like $126,000 to be probably like a general practitioner. So this is the NYU Law School, the beautiful law school campus. So it's ranked top 6 for JD in the US, JD is Juris Doctor, the law program. Acceptance rate about 33.1%. Average LSAT score. LSAT is law school's admission test. Average LSAT score is about 169. And average undergraduate GPA is about 3.75. Program duration is about 3 years. Annual tuition is about $59,600 per annum. Average starting salary for lawyers from New York University about $110,000. Famous NYU alumni. So we have Anne Hathaway, actress. Angelina Jolie, actress. She went to NYU. Adam Sandler, actor. Martin Scorsese, filmmaker. Julius Axelrod, 1970 Nobel Prize in Medicine. Lady Gaga, musician. Kenneth Langone, co-founder of Home Depot. Walter Shipley, CEO of Chase Manhattan Bank. Cost of living near NYU in New York City. So we have a monthly rent in New York City as of the year 2016 for a studio is about $900 to $1,200 per month. For a 1-bed 1-bath apartment, about $1,200 to $1,600 per month. For a 2-bed 2-bath apartment, it costs about $1,500 to $2,000 per month. Cost of purchasing a house in New York City. So 1-bed 1-bath house costs about $400,000 to $550,000. 3-bed 3-bath house costs about $500,000 to $1.2 million. 5-bed 5-bath house costs about $1.2 million to $3 million plus dollars. How much more than that? So New York, I'm sure it costs probably much more than that if it's in a good area. Depends on so many factors. New York is very, very, very expensive. And if you want a really nice big house, the same house which costs about $300,000 in Texas or Atlanta will probably cost about like $3 million or more in New York City. Or much more than that, I'm sure. It's really, really, really expensive. There was a time when I was like interning, working in New York City, and we used to live in a really old apartment in Queens area. And I used to find it very difficult to drive in New York. So in all the other parts of the US, that was more than 10 years ago, and all the other cities, somehow I could easily find my way. In those days we didn't have GPS, or at least I hadn't bought a GPS, and so I would write down all the instructions and then I could manage to find my way. But New York City, I didn't have a GPS, and every single time I would lose my way while trying to get to the George Washington Bridge. And it's pretty crowded, very difficult to drive in, and you won't find parking for your car. If you're in New York City, like, you don't need a car. Even the CEOs and presidents of the companies, they don't need a car pretty much. And even if they have one, they can't find parking space. So most people take the metros. And the metro is very well connected. And initially you might find it a little difficult, but then if you look at the map and follow it for a little bit, you'll be able to get adjusted to the metro. So the metro will, there are two important stations in New York City. One is the Grand Central and another is the Times Square. So if you get off, there's also the Path Station. There are so many stations. So the Path Station is where the World Trade Center used to be. So there's a station there. You get off there and you can walk to a lot of companies there. So in Manhattan there we have like uptown, midtown, and downtown Manhattan. A lot of companies are there, midtown, downtown. So a lot of people take the metro, and sometimes you can buy like a day pass, and you can swipe it any number of times that day for, I don't know, maybe $8 or $10. Otherwise, every time you swipe, it's, I think, $2 or $2.50. So, and then sometimes you can buy a monthly pass to save costs. You can, there's a lot of things to do, a lot of shopping, a lot of interesting things to do in New York, if you have the money for it. So there was a long time back when I would, I was there with a car. I don't know why none of my relatives advised me to like sell the car, but then I used to find it so difficult to find parking. And there was one time I had parked it somewhere and it was just protruding slightly onto somebody's driveway. And then I went home one evening for a walk, and then I noticed one guy was about to tow my car away, and I had to pay him $50 not to tow my car. And then finally I couldn't find parking anywhere, and I left my car in a hospital in the parking garage. So also, you don't need a car in New York. It's foolish, I mean, unless you have good parking. And even if you find a spot on the street, it's like weekly twice, they have certain slots, like say 10:30 to 11 o'clock in the morning, or sometime in the afternoon when they clean the streets, and you have to take off your car. And you'll be at work, right? You probably can't take the car off. And then they'll clean it and they'll give you a ticket. I ended up paying so many tickets because I couldn't move the car. I didn't know what to do. Then finally I sold the car. So it's foolish to have a car in New York without proper parking space. And the apartments I lived in were like really old, creaky apartments. So it's like with all those wooden floors, every time I took a step, it's like it would be like creaking underneath, and it wasn't a very pleasant experience for me. And in those days, I was a poor young grad student, and I would walk down all those streets on Broadway and Wall Street, and I wanted to go all those shopping malls, but I didn't have money to buy anything many years back. And then. But after many years then, when my family members visited me, I took my mother to New York and we went to all the Broadway shows and a lot of interesting things to see in New York. So there's a lot of Indian restaurants too, and there are a lot of places to visit. I have a separate video about places to visit in New York. So there's Ellis Island with the Statue of Liberty, and there's the Metropolitan Museum of Metropolitan Art, and then there's the New York Hall of Science, and there's a Vinayaka temple. The Ganesha temple is really famous in a place called Flushing Vinayaka temple. And then there's Broadway shows, and there's the 9/11 memorial, and then there's the Empire State Building, Rockefeller Center, there's Wall Street, and then there's the public libraries, and then there's so many other art museums, galleries, concerts. Things are always like happening, and a lot of shopping to do. It's really, really exciting. So much to see in New York. Some people love to visit New York and spend a week or 2 weeks or even a month there, but they don't like to live there. And some people want to live in New York and they can't imagine living anywhere else. It all depends on your choice. So if you're from like a small town in India, you might find it a big culture shock to be in a huge city like New York. It's like being in Mumbai. You probably feel kind of insignificant and lost. It depends. If you want a quiet life, you might be better off being in like in Atlanta or Texas or Florida, or some place where it's not so expensive and there's more greenery, more lung space, and you don't feel so suffocated. But if you're from Mumbai, for example, you're used to the crowds, the metros, the vibrant, the hustle bustle, then New York might just be the place for you. So it all depends on your personality. There's definitely a lot of nightlife in New York. So these are some of the Indian restaurants near New York University in New York City. So there is Masala Times, Baburchi, Curry Kitchen, Kati Roll Company, Thaliwala, Heart of India, Malai Marke, Mirch Masala, Rajmahal. There are a lot of restaurants. There are some pure vegetarian restaurants also, a lot of Indian stores. A very vibrant place. And then, so New York University is very famous and very expensive and also very prestigious. If you graduate with good grades, you're probably like set with a good job. And you probably also have a lot of networking opportunities with the best of the best. And you can also intern in a lot of good companies. It's a really nice option if you can afford it. And regarding scholarships and funding, I think they might offer some teaching assistantships and graduate teaching assistantships, research assistantship, that kind of stuff. They may give some kind of partial tuition waiver support here and there, but it's not like too many students have funding or something for international students. So my point is there are other universities which give better funding. New York University has already established itself. It has a brand name, so they're not really required to give too much support to students. I mean, students are ready to pay and go there. So but they do offer some kind of teaching assistantships, that kind of stuff in some departments. So this brings us to the end of this video about studying in New York University, and I hope you found it useful. Thank you.